Om Sadashivasamārambhām Shankaracārya Madhyamām Asmadacārya Paryantām Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Namo Brahmadibhyo Brahma Vidya Sampradaya Kartrubhyo Vamsha Rishibhyo Namo Gurubhyaha. We were looking at the last Vakya and even the last paragraph of Bhashya in the 9th Brahmana of the 3rd chapter. In this Brahmana, Shakalya asked questions to Yajnavalkya, mostly about different upasanas. And then finally, Yajnavalkya asked a question to the Brahmanas who were gathered there about the Mula Karanam, the Jagat Karanam, and they were not able to answer that. Then he himself gave the answer as Vijnanam Anandam Brahma. So Vijnanam Anandam Brahma, Vijnanam Anandam are the Lakshanas for Brahman. They are revealing words. And in this, the meaning for Vijnanam is not a Jnana Kriya like what it happens in your mind, correct? In every cognition, there is a mental activity which results in that cognition. We are not talking about that as Vijnanam here. Vijnanam here is Vijnaptihi. It's the abstract sense in the meaning of just consciousness, which is lighting up even your mind, which is lighting up your body, which is lighting up all your sense organs, which is the seer of sight, which is the hearer of hearing, like that. And then Anandam also is a revealing word with reference to Brahman. It is Brahma Swarupam. It is Swarupa Ananda, as we say. Like Vijnanam is not a mental activity, this Anandam also is not a mental state, or it is not a result of a mental activity. It cannot be, because it is being used as a Lakshana for Brahman. Because otherwise, normally, Anandam can be taken as Sukham, some kind of a pleasure, happiness, joy, ecstasy. So many words are there, bliss. Now, all of these words in English also refer to only experiential Ananda, you can say, correct? Experiential Sukha or experiential pleasure, where you as the Bhokta or enjoyer, you undergo an experience of joy. Okay. Now, the Anandam, which is used as the revealing word for Brahman, does it convey that particular experiential Ananda, or is it something else? This is the analysis which Bhashyakara is starting this analysis. In fact, the Purva Pakshi comes and says, there is no need of this analysis at all. Okay. So the Purva Pakshi says that we have to take it as only experiential Ananda, Samvedyam. That is the word Bhashyakara used. Whether it is an Ananda which is known to you in an experience. Samvedyananda Swarupam. Like this, Bhashyakara uses the word. So Purva Pakshi says Shruti Pramanya. Shruti itself says it is Ananda, and the only Ananda which is Prasiddha for us is this experiential Ananda. Therefore, it has to be taken that way only. But Bhashyakara says, and then he asks Kim Tatra Vicharya, what is there to be analyzed? Then Bhashyakara says, there is something to be analyzed, because in Brahman, there is no cognition in terms of object, means of knowledge and knower. Okay, Vijnana Pratishedha is there, and he quotes different Shruti Vakyas to establish that. like yatratvasya sarvam atmaiva bhut tat kenakam pashyet kenakam vijaniyat, all these things. Different Upanishads, in fact, Bhashyakara is quoting here. Therefore, then, since Brahman itself is not an object, correct? It can never be an object of your cognition. So when we talk about Ananda with reference to Brahman, it can never be an experiential Ananda, because experiential Ananda is something you experience as an object. It is an emotion which you experience and that is objectified in your mind. Brahman can never be objectified. It is the Swarupa of the subject itself. So that itself is a problem. The other problem is experiential Ananda is Anitya, right? It starts, it has to end. It may be any exalted mystic Ananda also. People talk about going into Samadhi or doing meditation and experiencing some special experience, okay, let us say. Now, we do not deny all these mystic experiences. We only say that it is not Brahmananda. That has to be clear to all the students of Vedanta. Any experiential Ananda, Nedam Edidam Upasate, like that Kena Upanishad, it says very clearly, correct? Brahman cannot be anything that which is experienced as an object of a cognition. So, this experiential Ananda, since it is experienced as an object of a cognition, it has a start and end also. Therefore, it is Anitya. That also is a problem. Brahmananda cannot be Anityam, that which starts and ends. Then in experiential Ananda, there is also Taratamya is there, correct? There are gradations are there. In fact, in the Taittiriya Upanishad also, when the Anandamaya is talked about, Tasya Priyameva Shiraha, Modo Dakshinah Pakshaha, Pramoda Uttarah Pakshaha, like this, Priya Moda Pramoda, three types of joy are talked about, where Priya is something which is pleasing, which you like. Moda, you can say, is even more than that, right? Something which you love, you enjoy and all that. And Pramoda is even more than that. It's like you're ecstatic, blissful and all that we can say. So, there are Taratamya or gradations in experiential Ananda. Brahmananda is not like that. It is Ananta, in fact. It has to, because the Ananda also has to go along with the Ananta, which is also a revealing word, correct? That is why it cannot be an experiential Ananda which starts and ends, which has gradations or which is an object of one's cognition. None of these things can be Brahmananda. Also, Bhashyakara says that in moksha, one knows oneself as a pure conscious being, free from any body, mind, sense complex. So, the moksha swarupa means that it is karya karana abhava. That's what he says. Karya karana abhave anupapattehe vijnanasya, he says. So, you are talking about knowing this Ananda, Samvedyam, but for knowing you require a body and mind sense complex. Without that, it is not possible. And moksha itself is what? Atyantikaha Sharira Abhave. So, Sharira Viyoga is there in moksha. Even during Jivan Mukti also, one does not take oneself as an embodied being. That is the real moksha. And Videya Mukti means then, of course, there is no body, etc. So, when the Sharira Abhava is there, there is no Karana which is there. And without the Sharira and the Karana, and the Sharira itself is the Ashraya for the Karana, right? It is where the Karanas operate. None of these things are there. Therefore, there is no question of any Vijnana or knowing or enjoying this as an experiential Ananda. And also Ekatva Virodha, Bhashyakara says, another point. that if you say that you are experiencing something, then it becomes other than you, correct? It becomes a second thing that will go against the teaching of Ekatva, Ekameva Advitiyam, Brahma. Like this, he says, for this, the Purva Pakshi comes back and says, no, Brahman, Param Brahma also, Ananda Swarupa, even if you say it is Ananda Swarupa, it is of the nature of Ananda. But Brahman also is of the nature of consciousness, correct? Nitya Vijnana is there. Nitya Vijnanatva. Nityamaya Vijaniyat, he says. Brahman knows its Ananda all the time. Like this, the Purva Pakshi is saying. That also Bhashyakara says, Tanna, that can also not be possible. Why? Because he says, from the standpoint of Brahman also it is wrong. From the standpoint of a samsari who becomes Mukta Purusha, correct? So, a Jijnasu, a desirer of knowledge who gains this Brahma Jnanam, then becomes a Mukta Purusha, that person also gains this very nature of Brahman, correct? Brahmavid Brahmaiva Bhavati, we say. So, the Mukta Purusha also becomes Brahman. And this becoming Brahman is like water merging with the reservoir. Like this, an analogy Bhashyakara is giving. And once it has merged, the Mukta Purusha is Brahman alone. You cannot separately have a Mukta Purusha who is enjoying Brahmananda being separate from that. It is all only one. You cannot separate it out. Therefore, you cannot say that this Brahman itself being consciousness always enjoys its own Ananda like that. That is not possible, particularly with reference to the Mukta also, because Mukta also becomes Brahman only. Mukta is not separate from Brahman. To say that the Nitya Ananda and Nitya Vijnana of Brahman is enjoyed by a Mukta Purusha. But if you maintain that Mukta Purusha is somebody separate, so Anyaha san Muktaha Vedayate, like this if you say, then Ahamasmi Ananda Swarupaha iti. So being separate from this Brahman and being the Pratyegatma, one enjoys the Brahmananda, then it is Ekatva Virodha, obviously, it is a problem. Oneness is contradicted and it will oppose all the Shruti Vakyas which we have seen, Sarva Shruti Virodha, like this Bhashyakara said. So up to this, I think we saw already. There is no other way you can explain this. Tritiya cha kalpana nopapadyate, he says. There is no other way, there is no other tenable explanation. Further, kincha anyat, Brahmanascha Nirantara Atmananda Vijnane, Vijnana Avijnana Kalpana Anarthakyam, he says. See, Brahman is always conscious and always it knows its Ananda. Then there is no need, one cannot talk about Brahman knowing the Ananda again or anything like that, correct? It is meaningless that it did not know the Ananda and then becoming a Mukta Purusha, it came to know this Ananda. Like this also one cannot say. Vijnana Avijnana Kalpana you cannot do if it is a Nitya Vijnana, correct? And Nitya Ananda also. So whatever you say, it doesn't make any sense. And further what? Nirantaram chet Atmananda Vishayam Brahmanaha Vijnanam Tadeva Tasya Swabhavaha iti Atmanandam Vijanati iti Kalpana Anupapanna. So this Atmananda, if you say it does not come and go, but it is always there, being the Swarupa of Brahman, then it is actually the Brahma Swabhava or Swarupa only, correct? So it becomes its very Swabhava. And in which case also, the subject cannot know itself. So Atmanandam Vijanati iti Kalpana, whatever imagination you are doing that Brahman knows its own Atmananda, that is not tenable. Therefore what? Atad Vijnana Prasangehi Kalpanayaha Arthavatvam, he says. So if you say that Brahman enjoys Ananda, then Brahman has to be separate, Ananda has to be separate. Then only you can talk about Atad Vijnana. It is not itself, correct? Ananda has to be something other than Brahman, then Brahman can enjoy that Ananda or experience that Ananda, know that Ananda. Then it is meaningful to say that way. Like even Bhashyakara says, Yatha Atmanam Parancha Veti iti, like even one knows oneself and somebody else. In this, the oneself is actually identification with body, mind, sense complex. So you think you are one of the objects, and then others are also objects in the space-time. You know yourself, you know somebody else. Like that, you can say that is okay in the normal Vyavahara, but it is not proper to say with reference to Brahman. In fact, Bhashyakara gives another analogy also. He says, Nahi Vishwadi Asakta Manasaha Nairantaryena Ishujnana Ajnana Kalpanayaha Arthavatvam. See, already there is somebody like Arjuna, let us say, okay, great bowman, great archer, and he is fully focused on his bow. So Ishwadi Asakta Manasaha means what his mind is totally focused on this bow only to shoot the arrow. At that time, you cannot have a kalpana that he has Ishujnana for some time and he does not have Ishujnana for some time and all that, correct? He is already engrossed in that. And at that time, you cannot say this Ishujnana goes and then comes back. All these things do not make any sense. Okay. So this kind of kalpana, and also further you say this Ishujnana is there always. Then how can it be, then Ishujnana and Ajnana cannot come into the picture when already somebody is engrossed in something. That knowledge cannot go and come. It is there. So whatever you say does not make any sense. Na arthavatvam is there. Otherwise you say, no, this Ishu Jnana or Ananda Jnana is not always there. That's why it can go and come. If it is not always there, you can say, okay, it is there for some time. Like even our experiential Ananda is like that, correct? We all enjoy for some time, then it goes away. You sleep, in fact, you are very happy, you go to sleep. Then with that, it is tomorrow when you get up, it is a different thing. You may get up with a back pain. Who knows? So it is there as long as it is there. Then again, you have to get some Ananda, let us say. That means Vichilna is there. There is a gap, there is a break. So if break is there, then you know Ananda, again you don't know Ananda, again you know Ananda, like that one can say. So Bhashyakara takes that also, no? He says, Atha Vichinnam Atmanandam Vijanati Vijnanasya Atma Vijnana Chidre Anya Vishayatva Prasangaha. So if you say that Vichinna is there, break is there in this Ananda, then also there is a problem, because when the Ananda is not experienced, Brahman has to experience something else. Okay, Anya Vishayatva Prasanga will come. Again the Ekatva Virodha will come because of that. And not only that, Vikriyavatvam also is there. Atmanascha Vikriyavatvam, Bhashyakara says. Why? Because Atma first it knows this Ananda, then the knowledge of Ananda is gone. Now it is knowing something else, and then that will also go away. Again, you know some Ananda, like that. There will be change. But Atma is revealed as Avikritaha. The invariable in each and every cognition is the Atma. So Atma does not have any Vikriya. It is Nirgunaha, Nishkriyaha. It is Avyayaha, Navyeti, Avikritaha also. It does not undergo any change, any modification. That's why it is Satyam. Satyam means once you have identified as this, it can never undergo any change. So, if you say that there is vichinna or break in the knowledge of Ananda for the Atma, then it will lead to issues like this, where Atma itself will become Vikriyaha. Because of that, it will again become Anitya, it will become Parichinna also, Alpa. So that's what Bhashyakara next says. Tatascha Anityatva Prasangaha. So from Vikriyavatvam, it will become Anitya, it will become limited with reference to time, because it starts undergoing change in space-time. So therefore, all these problems will come. So whichever way it is, once you say it is an experiential Ananda, it cannot be reconciled with the Brahma Swarupa. And how Shruti is revealing Brahman, it cannot be reconciled with that. So you cannot say that it is Samvedya Ananda. That is the point Bhashyakara is making here. Therefore, what? Tasmat Vijnanam Anandam iti Surupan Vakya Anapara eva Shrutihi. So, this Vijnanam Anandam, when Shruti says it is Swarupa, it points to the Brahma Swarupam. It is not something which you know as an experience. Okay. So, it is really, it is definitely the very nature of Brahman, and it cannot be signifying anything other than this. So it cannot be anything else. That's why he says Anapara. Apara means other, but Anapara means what? It cannot be anything other than this Swarupa Ananda. That's how we have to take. It is the Ananda is actually a Lakshana, because Ananda also has normal Vachyartha is correct. Whatever you say, Vachyartha or the direct meaning of the word Ananda refers to pleasure, happiness, joy, all these things. But when it is referring to Brahman, when it is used as a revealing word for Brahman, it has to go along with other words which are used, particularly Ananta. So Ananta Ananda, Vijnanam Ananda, all these things are there. Therefore, it cannot be taken as your regular experiential Ananda, but it is the very source of all Ananda. Brahman's very nature is Ananda. In fact, all other Ananda which one experiences, it is nothing but Matram Upajivanti, like that Upanishad itself will say later on. So every other Ananda, even which you experience in your body, mind, sense complex, is because of this Brahmananda. The Brahmananda manifesting in your body, mind, sense complex is any other Vishaya Ananda or Samvedya Ananda. So that's how we have to understand. But this Ananda cannot be experiential, however exalted that experience may be. So we have to be very clear about that. So na Atmananda Samvedyatva Artha. So it is Swarupa Ananda and not Samvedya Ananda. Bhashyakara makes it very clear here. Now Purvapakshi comes back. He says, Jakshat Kridan Ityadi Shruti Virodaha Asamvedyatve Iti Chet. So the Purvapakshi comes and says, no, Shruti says this Jnani is playing, enjoying and all that. How is that possible if the Jnani is not enjoying or experiencing this Ananda? Asamvedyatve, without experiencing the Ananda, how can somebody express this joy? In Bhashyakara says, no, that's not the whatever the Shruti is trying to reveal through those Vakyas also. It's not that it is experiential Ananda, but what he says, na sarvatma ekatve yatha prapta anuvaditva. So the jnani is already having sarvatma bhava. This sarvatma bhava only is manifesting as wherever people are happy, it is all my happiness only, correct? In that manner only, whatever is already there, the Shruti is just pointing it out. In fact, it is more like a praise of the Brahmananda. It is Stutyartham. Okay. So Sarvatma Ekatve Yatha Prapta Anuvaditvat means that whatever is normally there. In fact, why should the Jnani be unhappy? In fact, Jnani is already a highly matured person. So any Ananda which is experienced by any being, a yogi or a deva, all that Ananda and the expression of that Ananda, correct, in terms of playing, etc., is attributed to the Jnani because Jnani has Sarvatma Bhava. That's what Bhashyakara is explaining now. He says, Muktasya Sarvatma Bhave Sati Yatra Kvachit Yogishu Deveshu Va Jakshanadi Praptam. So any yogi or a deva, they are enjoying themselves, playing, and that is there. And since the Jnani is having Sarvatma Bhava, this enjoyment is, as observed, is attributed to the Jnani to show that Jnani has this Sarvatma Bhava. So this Ananda can be attributed to the Jnani. So only in this manner, Shruti is talking about that. So he again says that Tat Yatha Praptam Eva Anudyate. So whatever is available or it is observed, that alone the Shruti is repeating or just describing. Okay. Tat tasyeva sarvatma bhavatiti sarvatma bhava moksha stutaye. So this, whatever this Ananda which is experienced by any being also, because the Jnani has the Sarvatma Bhava and moksha is nothing but Sarvatma Bhava. So it is for the purpose of praising moksha and Sarvatma Bhava, this is said. So this is whatever is actually observed, only the Shruti is saying whatever is normally seen. So this cannot be taken as an indication to say that this Ananda is experienced. Okay, it is not a Samvedya Ananda. Okay, so now Bhashyakara has given this explanation, but the Purvapakshi now comes back and then says, if you say that Ananda is experienced by different beings, and then those beings, whatever they are experiencing, it is attributed to the Jnani due to Sarvatma Bhava, then what about the dukkha of all the beings? So he says now, Yatha Prapta Anuvaditve Dukkhitvam api iti chet. So if dukkha also, can you then attribute to the Jnani? Because Jnani has Sarvatma Bhava, then everybody's dukkha will become Jnani's dukkha also. In fact, then nobody will want any moksha, I think. So like this, the Purvapakshi is now asking this. Now, Bhashyakara will not accept that. In fact, the Purvapakshi explains that further. He says, Yogyadishu yatha prapta dakshanadivat stavaradishu yatha prapta dukkhitvam api iti chet. So you say that yogi, devas, they are enjoying themselves and then that is attributed to the Jnani. They are playing and all that, okay, and enjoying. Similarly, there are many beings like even plants, thavaras, which are all leading a very difficult life, let us say. At least the animals which are called Jangama can run away if there is some danger. But a plant cannot move. It is fixed. And even if there is a forest fire or something, the trees burn, correct? That is all some kind of a dukkha. So what if all that dukkha which are experienced by different beings like sthavara, etc., like plants and trees, etc., what if we attribute that also to the jnani? Because jnani has sarvatma bhava, means Bhashyakara says no, that jnani can neither have any experiential anand, experiential sukha nor any dukkha, because all sukha dukkha are all only superimpositions. They are all only dharma of mind, antakarana. It is not atma dharma really. So jnani knows that. That's why jnani cannot have any experiential sukha nor dukkha. So nama rupa krita karya karana upadi samparka janita bhranti adhyaropitatvat sukha dukkhitvadi visheshasya Bhashyakara. So sukha, dukkha, etc., whatever, even other emotions are there, like anger, etc. These are all qualities, you can say, visheshas. But and how does these qualities come about for a person? Because that person has wrong identity with the body mind sense complex. So the body mind sense complex itself is nothing but nama rupa, correct? So nama rupa krita karya karana upadhi. So karya is actually the physical body, karana is the sukshma sharira, manas and indriya, etc. So they are all nama rupa krita, means they are all basically mithya. They are all only vacharambanam. And those upadhi, one has to have connection with that upadhi. You identify yourself with the upadhi. That is the samparka. That is the connection or relationship. And because of that wrong identification, because that is called janita bhranti, he says. So bhranti is erroneous knowledge. This is a wrong identification with the body mind sense complex, because of which you superimpose on yourself what are not your dharmas, what are not your qualities. You think they are your qualities. So you think I am a sukhi, I am a dukkhi, all these things are happening. But a jnani cannot have such erroneous cognition. Jnani is a jnani. That's why he is a jnani. Jnani knows that all these things are all anatma and doesn't belong to me. So these are all only for avidya vataha. Those who are in avidya, in ignorance, for them only this is possible. So like this has been already discussed before also. Okay, previously also we have discussed. In fact, there was a bhashyam where again it was raised even before that contradictory statements are there, means whatever is said for the ajnani and for people who are in ajnana dasha, that will be in one way. And whatever is said about the jnani and the mukta purusha, it will be different. So if you just look at them, it may look contradictory, but it is all clearly mentioned by the Shruti, whether it is a jnani's vyavahara or ajnani. Therefore, in this manner, it was already explained and it was all taken care of. So, parihritam, he says, parihritam etat sarvam. Whatever you are raising now, all these points were already discussed and they have been given satisfactory answers and explained away. They have been explained away already. No, viruddha shrutinam cha vishayam avocham. That's what I told. Already you pointed out that there are some shrutis which are contradicting to each other, means those contradictions are because you do not understand that one set of shruti is addressing the ajnani and the other set of shruti is talking about the jnani. So if you understand like that, there is no contradiction there. Therefore, how do we interpret this Vijnanam Anandam Brahma? Tasmat Yeshaha Asya Parama Anandaha iti vate. So this is a very, very important Vakya. 4.3.32 we will see later. Yeshaha, this moksha itself is talked about. Yajnavalkya and Janaka are talking in the 4th chapter. And Yajnavalkya says this moksha is itself is the Paramananda. Brahman is Paramananda, moksha is Paramananda. Means by using the word Parama here, correct? Parama means you can translate it as supreme or ultimate or whatever, correct? All other Ananda, which are all Vishayananda, they are all Alpam, limited. Because this is Ananta. This is Ananta Ananda, really, Paramananda. That is why. This limitless is, in fact, you are the source of all Ananda. So, all the Ananda, you are the only source of all the Ananda. Because Ananda itself is neither a substance nor a quality. Otherwise, people would have produced it and they'll be selling it in the market, I think. So, that has not yet been done. So, the only source of Ananda is you. In fact, all Ananda, you are the only source. And if you know that, that itself is Paramananda. And in fact, the Shruti in this itself, it will say that Etasya eva anandasya anyani bhutani matram upajivanti. So this Brahmananda alone is becoming the experiential Ananda also. Whatever is reflected in the mind due to some favorable state of the mind, whatever Ananda you are feeling also, it is all only a matra means it is a kala. Bhashyakara says kala, means it is a part, means it is limited. So any Vishayananda also which one is enjoying, it is all a small part of the Brahmananda only. Brahmananda alone is the Paramananda. That's how we have to understand this Ananda. But this is not a Samvedya Ananda. It is not experiential Sukha which is talked about here. Ananda is used as a revealing word, Lakshana for Brahman itself. So, itivat sarvani ananda vakyani drashtavyani. So, whenever this ananda is used with reference to Brahman or Atma, it has to be understood in this manner only. Because whatever is Ananta, where you don't see the other, correct? That is called Bhuma in the Chandogya also. But if you see the other, okay, Anyat Pashyanti means if you are seeing the other, then it becomes Alpam. It is not Bhuma anymore. Since this Ananda is also Ananta, this cannot be experienced. There cannot be an experiencer and experienced divide in this. So you have to understand it as Swarupa Ananda. In this manner only you have to understand wherever this Ananda Vakya comes, Ananda Pada comes. Okay. So iti Tritiya Adhyayasya Navamam Brahmanam. So the 9th Brahmana also we have completed. With this, in fact, the 3rd chapter itself is over. So iti Srimad Paramahamsa Parivrajakacharyasya Shri Govinda Bhagavat Pujya Pada Shishyasya. Okay, so the one who is the Shishya of Govinda Bhagavat Pada and who is a Paramahamsa and Parivrajaka Srimad Shankara Bhagavataha, Srimad Shankaracharya's Kritav, okay, that which has been written by Shankara Bhagavat Pada. What is that? Brhadaranyaka Upanishad Bhashya. So in the Brhadaranyaka Upanishad Bhashya, Tritiya Adhyayaha. So thus the 3rd chapter is completed. Now we will quickly see the summary of the entire 3rd chapter. So the 3rd chapter itself started with Janaka announcing to all the Brahmanas who have come from Kuru and Panchala Deshas that whoever is the best amongst you, you can take all these cows, okay, 1,000 cows. And also not just the cows horns were also having some gold also tied to them. Okay. So like this, Janaka announced in his court. And then afterwards, what happened? Nobody came forward to claim. But Yajnavalkya came and told his Shishya to take away all the cows. Okay. Once Yajnavalkya told like that, these Brahmanas became very agitated. They asked, in fact, Yajnavalkya Brahmishtosi iti. So, are you the Brahmishtaha? Brahmishtaha means, are you the best among all the Brahmanas? But he says, Go Kama eva vayam. Gokamaha. See, we are not saying that I am the best amongst all of you or anything. Me and my Shishyas, we are only desirous of all these cows, so we are taking it. Then Ashvala starts questioning Yajnavalkya. So this is called Ashala Brahmana, the first Brahmana in the 3rd chapter. And if you see in this, the first some Karmanga Upasanas are talked about, and then the Sampat Upasanas also. Atha Sampadaha. Sampat Upasana means you take a one thing which may be an ordinary thing and then superimpose something based on some similarity which is extraordinary on that. Like even Shalagrame Vishnuhu. That is called Sampat Upasana. So Shalagrama is just a stone, but we invoke Vishnu on that because it has some kind of a chakra. It is a fossil actually. If you break it, then you can see it like a chakra is there. Therefore, it is associated with Vishnu. And Vishnu is invoked in that, and we can do puja. That is all called Sampad Upasana. So Sampad Upasana, here ordinary mantras are taken and some extraordinary things are all superimposed on them, and it is looked upon differently. So the Sampad Upasana also is there in this. So with this, Ashwala, he asked about this and then he became quiet. He didn't know anything more than that. Once Yajnavalkya answered everything, Ashwala became quiet. Then the second Brahmana starts. Okay. Arthabhaga Brahmana it is called. So Arthabhaga is the one who is questioning. And this is an interesting Brahmana. Here, Graha and Atigraha, these two terms are introduced. Graha means the Indriya. Atigraha is the Indriya Artha, means sense organs and sense objects. So sense organs are called as Graha, sense objects are called Atigraha. Now all these 8 sense organs and their sense objects and all that, not always sense organ, I think, basically organs. Okay. So because mind and hands, all these things are also talked about here. Indriyas. So it can be both sense organ and organs of action. 8 of them are listed and their objects are called Atigraha here. So everything is Graha and Atigraha, like that it is looked upon, the entire Srishti. And the Mrityu will then take over all these things. Okay. Because they are all subjected to death. Then the question is asked in the 10th, is there a death for death also? Mrityoho Mrityuhu is there or not? Like this, Arthabhaga is asking, thinking that it is a very trick question. Because if Yajnavalkya says there is death for death, then what about that death? Is there a death for that? Like that, Anavastha will come. Or if he says there is no Mrityu for Mrityu, then there is no moksha possible. Everything is only subjected to death means everything is mortal, means there is no immortality. It will become like that. But Yajnavalkya says no, there is Mrityu for Mrityu also, but there is no Anavastha. Like even the fire which eats up everything can be put down by water, correct? He gives like that. So therefore moksha is possible and jnana is the means for that. That is said here. In this Brahmana, that point comes. And in fact, the jnani on death does not take up another body. There is no more birth for the jnani. That also comes here. Mritaha Shete. These are all important mantras here. And in fact, later, this is also highly quoted by Bhashyakara. Here, for other people, when they take another birth, what is the cause for that? Means they discuss it is karma. Karma alone is the cause for the person taking another body. And that karma means, again, punya karma means you will get a punya sharira, and papa karma is predominant, means you will get a papa yoni or whatever, papa sharira. So that is this vakya, punyo vai punyena karmana bhavati, papa papena iti. This is a highly quoted verse also by Bhashyakara. So these are all important things in the Artha Bhaga Brahmana. So the first two Brahmanas are only talking about Upasana, and the Upasana Phala here is basically Hiranyagarbha, which is the highest you can reach within the Srishti itself. Okay, the state of Hiranyagarbha, and that is through the Karma and Upasana. But why the Upanishad is talking about that? Just to show that whatever you can achieve, the maximum also is limited only. So that is still not moksha. And the third Brahmana is there here. In fact, there is a big Bhashya. So this is called Bhujyu Brahmana. Bhujyu is the person who is questioning here. In this, the dimensions of the Brahmaloka are talked about. Okay, by saying that the Brahmaloka, which is the highest loka one can go to, itself is only having a limited dimension. Okay, means again to show that whatever you can achieve within this Srishti, whatever it may be the highest achievement, but still it is limited only. Okay, Brahmaloka itself is limited. It has its own dimensions. So here also the Upasana is only talked about. And by Upasana you reach Brahmaloka, but that Brahmaloka also is limited. Then after this Bhujyu Brahmana, the Ushasta Brahmana comes. This is a very, very important Brahmana. From here the actual Vedanta starts. In fact, the questioner itself says that yet Sakshad Aparokshad Brahma Ya Atma Sarvantaraha Tam Me Vyachakshva. So he asks, whatever is this Brahman which is Sakshad Aparokshad, he says. Sakshat means what Bhashyakara takes meaning. He takes Avyavahitam, that which is known without the use of anything, any means in between. That which is directly known, that which is self-revealing, that is what is called Sakshat. So if I ask you, are you there? All of you will say, I am there. How did you know you are there? You don't have to use any means of knowledge to know your own existence, correct? Because you are self-revealing conscious being. That self-revealing consciousness is what is called as Sakshat here. It is directly known without the use of any means of knowledge. Then Aparokshat means, Bhashyakara takes the meaning as Agaunam. In fact, in regular Vedantic usage, Aparoksha is the one which is taken as something which is known in a self-revealing manner without anything in between, because we say, sometimes we even say Pratyaksha, Anumana, but this knowledge of oneself is Aparoksha Jnana. But anyway, Bhashyakara here, Aparokshat is actually only Aparoksham. He takes it as Agaunam, means in many places Brahma is used in a Gauna manner, particularly with reference to Upasana. We did see a lot of Saguna Brahma Upasana, even in the second chapter, correct? That Dripta Balaki was there. And then he went to the Kashi Raja, who then he keeps on asking about different Saguna Brahma Upasanas. So Annam Brahma, all the different types of Upasanas are there. In all those cases, Brahman is Gauna, in the sense that it is figuratively used. But here, the Brahman which is talked about is Param Brahma. It is not a Gauna usage. In fact, he even says, Na Shrotra Brahmadivate, Shrotra. So Shrotram Brahma, like that and all, you can do Upasana. And then you will get a certain phala for that. And also, what is this Brahman? It is the Atma of everybody. Yaha Atma Sarvantaraha, which is there, which is the inner self of everybody. And that Pratyeka Atma, what is that, he asks? Then Yajnavalkya says, it is your Atma only. Yeshata Atma Sarvantaraha, he says. But then the Ushasta is not able to appreciate that. So he says, Katamaha Yajnavalkya Sarvantaraha. What is this Atma which is, how can you say that my Atma is the one which is the self of everybody? How it is like that? Or what is that? Then Yajnavalkya cannot directly answer, correct? This Atma is never an object, cannot be an object of any cognition. So he is giving an answer here, Yaf Pranena Praniti, Sata Atma, Sarvantaraha, Yaha Apanena Apaniti, Vyanena Vyaniti, like this. Yajnavalkya is giving indirectly. So, but then Ushasta is not still happy. In fact, he asks another question. You show me like this cow. Okay, if I ask what is a cow, people can show this is the cow, correct? Like that, why you are not teaching me about this Atma? So, then Yajnavalkya says here, very, very important vakyas. Na drishtehe drashtaram pashyehe. The seer of the sight cannot be seen because it is always the subject, correct? It's an eternal subject. The hearer of hearing cannot be again heard. Na shrutehe shrotaram shrinuyah. Na matehe mantaram manvitha. Na vijnatehe vijnataram vijaniyah. So the knower of knowledge itself cannot be known as an object. So this Atma is yourself, that's all. In fact, you need not know yourself as an object. You know yourself already. You have to only give up wrong notions about yourself. You think that you are confined to a particular body, mind, sense complex. In fact, you are the self of all, in fact. That's what one has to understand. So once Yajnavalkya explains this, Ushasta also sits quietly. So Ushasta Brahmana, very important Brahmana. Then the fifth Brahmana, Kahola Brahmana, very, again, is has only one Vakya, I think. Yeah. But big Bhashya also. That is because Kahola also asked the same thing. Yes, Sakshad Aparokshad Brahma, Ya Atma Sarvantaraha, Tamme Vyachakshva. Now Yajnavalkya answers differently. So he says this Atma is free from hunger and thirst. So he is giving the Moksha Swarupa here. And that which transcends Shoka, Moha, old age and all that, correct? Sorrow, delusion, old age, everything, this Atma transcends all that. And knowing this Atma, or to know this Atma only, Brahmanas give up everything, correct? The threefold desires, Putraishana, Vittaishana, Lokaishana. And then giving up all this, they take Bhikshacharyam. Bhikshacharyam Charanti is there here. In fact, Bhashyakara argues a lot here to establish that this Bhikshacharyam Charanti, although Charanti is only Lat, it is present tense, but he is taking it as a Vidhi here, like a lot or a ling. So he says that the Sannyasa Vidhi is there here. And also the Shravana Manana Nidhyasana is talked about here in different language. Pandityam Nirvidya, Balyena Tishtase. So Pandityam Nirvidya is the Shravana part. Balyena Tishtase means, Balyena means with bala, with strength. You sit and you think over things. So that is the Manana. And then Atha Munihi Amaunancha Maunancha Nirvidya Atha Brahmanaha. So this Maunam also is talked about here. So that is the Nididhyasana part. So like this with different words, the Shravana Manana Nididhyasana also is referenced here. And so this is a very, very important Vakya, particularly for this Bhikshacharyam Charanti. This Putreshanayaste, Vitteshanayaste, Lokeshanayaste, Vyuthaya, Atha Bhikshacharyam Charanti. This is also quoted by Bhashyakara a lot in many other places also. So this is a very important Vakya. Then the sixth Brahmana is the Gargi Brahmana. Gargi comes into the picture here. Gargi Vachaknavi, Brahmavadini Gargi. So she is a lady, and you can see she is questioning Yajnavalkya here. In fact, she questions about what is the cause of different things. She starts from the cause of the earth is waters, and from water onward she starts. So Otascha Protascha is the terminology she is using. Hasminno Otancha Protancha. So in which this is there, or what is the warp and woof of something. Okay. So like this, when she asks, Yajnavalkya keeps on answering that. Okay, because she starts with Sarvam, Ididam Sarvam, Apsu Otancha Protancha. Like that. So everything is there in the water. Water is the warp and woof. But water itself is there in which cause? Means, so Otascha Protasha, because Apaha is plural. Then Yajnavalkya answers it as Vayu. Like this, he keeps on going here. Okay. And then he goes into different lokas and all that. And then finally up to Brahma Loka they go. When she asks, where is this Brahma Loka also established, in which cause? It is present in which cause means, then Yajnavalkya doesn't answer her. He says, up to this point only we can analyze logically. If you ask more in the same manner, in the same line of questioning, your head will fall off like that. He says that. So Gargi keeps quiet. Okay, at this point. So with this Gargi Brahmanam is over. Then Uddalaka Arunihi, he comes. In fact, he talks about a Gandharva and all that. Okay. Gandharva Grihita, a lady who is possessed by a Gandharva, and what did this Gandharva say, etc. like this. So he says that Gandharva taught me something. Do you know what it is? Like that. Then Yajnavalkya answers. So this Brahmanam is actually talking about the Sutratma and the Antaryami. Okay, Sutra is, you can take it as the totality. Okay, basically, the Sutra. In the Sutra means basically it is invisible. Like even in a Sutre Manigana, even like that, even in Gita, Gita Charya is talking about that. When he is talking about the cause of the world. So when there is a necklace or something, it is all held together by the sutra, correct? By the thread. But thread itself may not be visible because it is covered by the beads of a necklace, let us say, or some kind of a mala. Like this, the sutra is talked about first, which is the totality, the cause in totality. And then that sutram also, sutra is, you can say, is the anatma totality, but who is identifying the sutra itself as the body? There has to be somebody, correct? The antaryami, the one who is within that sutra and one who is controlling that sutra also, one who is in fact within everything. And ante tishtan yamayati, antaryami, one who is sitting inside and controlling everything. That antaryami also is talked about here. Sutra and antaryami. In fact, that's why this Brahmana is called Antaryami Brahmana. And in fact, he talks about it in a lot of detail, correct? But each of, from third onwards, if you see, Yaf Prithivyam Tishtan, Prithivya Antaraha, Yam Prithivina Veda. So the one who is there in Prithvi, inside the Prithvi as the cause of the Prithvi itself, about whom Prithvi does not know, and for whom Prithvi is the Sharira. Yasya Prithvi Shariram. Yaf Prithivim Antaraha Yamayati, and also one who is sitting within the Prithvi and controlling that. And that is your Atma, he says. Yeshata Atma Antaryami, and that is the Antaryami also. Amritaha, immortal, like this. For each one, he says all these things. Ya Apsutishtan, Yaha Agnau Tishtan, Yaha Antarikshe Tishtan, Vayo Tishtan, Divi Tishtan. So like this, Antaryami Brahmana basically shows that this Atma alone is there as Antaryami in each and every being. This also comes in the 13th chapter of the Gita. So Kshetrajnam Chapimam Vidhi Sarva Kshetreshu Bharata, like that Bhagavan says there. So similarly, the same thing, this Antaryami is talked about in this Brahmana, the Antaryami Brahmanam. Okay. And once the Antaryami is explained, then Uddalaka sits quiet. Then the 8th Brahmana is called Akshara Brahmana. Again, Gargi questions now about she again comes back. Okay. But now we understand that she is questioning it based on the Veda, not purely based on logic or Anumana. So Yajnavalkya answers her again. So here now the word Akasha is introduced. So Akasha is the Ishvara Upadhi, we have to take Maya. Okay. So the Akasha and Ishvara, they go together. And then the Akshara is talked about, who is the final, who is even the Adhara for Ishvara, which is Nirgunam Brahma. So Sagunam Brahma, up to Sagunam Brahma, you can talk about with gunas and all that. But then the Sagunam Brahma, which is the totality of everything, for that also the Adhara is, that itself is Otamcha Protancha. The oath of Prota terminology is used again in this. And then the Akshara is talked about. And so Akashaha, Akashe tad Otancha Protancha, here you can see here. So everything is in Akasha, but that Akasha itself is in Akshara. So like this Akshara Brahmanam, this is called. And here Brahman is introduced as both Sagunam and then finally Nirgunam Brahma is the Adhara for everything. That is taught here. And in fact, that Nirgunam Brahma is said in so many words here. Very beautiful mantra here. You can see Astulam, Ananu, Akhraswam, Adirgham, Alohitam, Asneham. Like this, everything negative you can say, basically negating all kinds of ideas you may have about Brahman. All that is negated here. Okay. And it is also said that natad ashnati kinchana na tad ashnati. It doesn't eat anything also. It is not eaten by anything also. Okay. That is this Brahman. So Brahman is revealed, this Aksharam. See, this Aksharam is revealed as this Nirgunam Brahma only. And that is the and then again Akshara is presented as Saguna in terms of the Akshara only appears as Ishvara. So Aksharasya Prashasane Surya Chandramasau Vidhrutau Tishtata and all this you can see here. The Prashasana, the rule of the Akshara. In fact, even in Taittiriya Upanishad also it is similarly there. Bhishas Madvataf Pavate, like that. So due to the fear of this Brahman alone, even wind is moving, things like that are said there. So the rule of the Akshara is talked about as Ishvara. So both Nirgunam Brahma and Sagunam Brahma are revealed here. This Akshara Brahmana is very important. This we saw. And finally, we saw the ninth Brahmana again. See, up to this 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 are all pure Vedanta. It's all about Jnanam and revealing Brahman. But ninth one again, Shakalya comes and starts asking about this. The first one is about the numbers and all that. Because so many Devatas are there, but all of them can be looked upon as one Hiranyagarbha. So Hiranyagarbha Stuti, you can say in one way, are recognizing this one Hiranyagarbha, even though there are unlimited Devatas. All of them can be looked upon this one Hiranyagarbha. And then the Hiranyagarbha Upasana is talked about in terms of 8 Purushas, Ashtavida Hiranyagarbha, and also Panchavida Hiranyagarbha later. 5 directions are there. So based on that, in 5 ways, we understand the Hiranyagarbha. And finally, it says that everything is there only in your heart, correct? So everything is resolved into oneself. So this Upasana is talked about here. Then after Shakalya asked all about this, Yajnavalkya is teasing Shakalya, saying that you have been used by all these Brahmanas like a tongue is used to hold the burning coal. So Yajnavalkya equates himself to burning coal. A burning coal means he is such a bright person, you can say. He cannot be defeated or touched by any of the Brahmanas. But they have put forward the Shakalya like a tongue is used to lift that burning coal. Shakalya is there, like this he says. But Shakalya doesn't really appreciate that. He says, no, I am there out of my own, whatever I am asking you, it is my own thing. It's not that the Brahmanas have manipulated me or anything. And again he asks about where everything is resting and all that. Okay. And then finally, after he has asked everything, okay, Yajnavalkya asks him. So Yajnavalkya is questioning him, and he is not able to answer that. Okay, so that will come here. I'll show you. Here, see. So Kasminnu Tumcha Atma Cha Pratishtitau Stha iti. Like this, he is asking here up to this point. Then Yajnavalkya asks him again. So he is asking Aupanishadam Purusham Tam tu Aupanishadam Purusham Prichami. So now he says that all the things you asked, correct? This Attavida, Hiranyagarbha, Panchavida, Hiranyagarbha, all that is there in one Purusha. And that Aupanishadam Purusha, I am asking about that Purusha. Do you know him? If you do not know this Upanishadam Purusha means the one who is revealed only through the Upanishads. So he is asking that, Tamtu Upanishadam Purusham Prichami, like that I am asking you about that Upanishadam Purusham, and if you are not able to say, your head will fall off, he says. And since Shakalya doesn't know the answer, his head falls off. Then his Sishyas take his body, but even that is stolen away by some thieves and all that. So here the reference is given to a previous story between them, all that we saw. And then finally Yajnavalkya himself is asking all the Brahmanas some question. None of them are able to answer that. So you see here, he compares the human being with a tree and then finally asks, what is the mula for everything? What is the cause of this entire world? That the Brahmanas, they are not able to answer. And then Shruti itself comes and answers that. Vijnanam Anandam Brahma Ratir Dhatuhu Parayanam Tishtamanasya Tadvidaha iti. So with this third chapter is over. We will continue with the fourth chapter. And there Yajnavalkya and Janaka again will continue. their discussions. We'll see that. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.